Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, cancel your gym membership. These are the only resolutions that matter. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellis, joined as always by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, are you a resolution guy?
Not generally. In fact, I think we've at some point done a 433 about it.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
No, I think so. It might be in like the Lost episodes that...
Sure. Or it could just be like in every now and then when Mark and I are hanging out, we'll be like 433, and then we'll just talk about something else for 4.5 minutes. Yeah, I'm usually not either. I do find myself just sort of casually being like, I'm gonna, eat better for a couple days or run a little bit or whatevs.
I like to think that I'm goal oriented, but I don't know if that's like the same thing as resolutions. I think of a resolution as in like, I don't know, maybe I've been watching too much TV, but I think of a resolution as like, I'm gonna change my life.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I'm going to watch less TV.
No, are you crazy?
No. No, Mark, you watch as much TV as you want to watch.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. The sweet embrace of television.
Man, I was just watching my season 8 Simpsons DVDs before this. Like, I can't give up watching comfort TV. Oh my God, so comforting.
TV doesn't disappoint you.
No, I mean, it does.
I mean, new TV disappoints you.
Right.
Old TV.
Yeah. The
stuff you like.
That episode of The Simpsons where they moved to Cypress Creek and Homer works for Hank Scorpio, that episode's never going to disappoint me. It's going to love me as much as I love it every single time.
So we're doing great. We're both in a super healthy mental state. Mm-hmm. Everything's going good.
Good relationship with reality. If you want a healthy relationship with reality, you should borrow my copy of Sonic Forces.
Yeah, nothing brings you back to Earth.
Mm-hmm. Nothing brings you crashing back down to disappointing reality like playing the 2017 classic Sonic Forces. You can borrow my copy of this game. What, Mark?
I was going to say, but don't let Patrick dissuade you.
Yes.
That's Patrick's take on it.
Yeah. What's your take on it? If you would like to play my copy of Sonic Forces, all you have to do is email us. We are Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. With your address, I send you a copy of the game, and you play it for a little bit, and then you send it on back to me, and everyone has a good time.
This is a successful program, and don't you want to be part of a successful program?
Look,
that's not a cult.
If you want to start, let's not say it's not a cult.
Well, it's not yet.
It is not yet a cult. Someday, if it rises to cult status, you will know that you got in on the ground floor.
That's where you want to be on this sort of thing.
So send your address in. I'll send you a copy. You play it. You send it back and have a wonderful time. Mark, are you ready to get into our main topic?
Let's do it.
Main topic. And that topic, of course, is New Year's resolutions gaming style. Nintendo 2018. Mark didn't like me saying gaming style.
I liked it fine.
No, I don't think you did. It's okay. You don't have to like everything. So Mark and I have both come up with a list of resolutions for 2018 that are related to video games. Mm-hmm. Things that we shall endeavor to do better or more completely or whatever in the new year. Mark, I propose that we make this interesting.
Okay. How so?
I say we invoke our famous $1 million bets and we see who can complete more resolutions over the course of the year.
I accept.
Very good.
Put it in the books.
It is in the books. One more $1 million bet.
Does this change us from resolutions in any way? Because technically, if we're betting on them, are they like wagers?
Okay, well, let's say this.
Or are we wagering on resolutions? Yeah, I guess we're wagering on resolutions.
How about we are wagering against each other's resolutions?
Yeah, that's right.
So my wager is
We're
that
shorting
you'll
your
fail at your
resolution.
resolution.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's what The Big Short was all about.
I believe that's right. I think of Margot Robbie in the tub explaining it, and
Yeah.
it made perfect sense to
Made
me.
perfect sense to me at the time.
So we have 5 resolutions each. We're going to go back and forth and talk about various challenges that we're going to face in taking on these resolutions, and maybe the likelihood of us actually fulfilling them.
Yes.
All right, Mark, why don't you get us started here?
Okay, so I guess my first is one that probably a lot of gamers share, and that's defeat my backlog.
Oh man, that is an all-encompassing one.
So I have a lot of games. Well, I guess not like I have a lot for me. For a long time, I was very just like one game at a time. I'm not going to purchase a bunch of games that I'm not going to play. And then we started doing this podcast.
Right.
And, we're always looking for stuff to talk about. We're always buying new games, trying new things out. And, we will play something in order to talk about it. And maybe I won't finish it, but we'll be moving on to something else so we can talk about that next week. And it just all kinds of, life gets in the way.
Yeah.
So it all kind of adds up.
I feel like you are generally pretty good about that, though. Like, I think you got deeper into Snake Pass than I did. You finished the Champions Ballad
man,
before.
I totally even forgot about Snake Pass. Am I going to have to... Does that count?
What do you mean? Did you not finish Snake Pass?
No.
Okay, well, so this is one where you will have to define your own...
backlog.
What is your backlog?
I guess I think of a backlog as games that I want to finish and that I intended to complete, but got, distracted or for some reason did not do so.
So, do you have, top of mind 2017 games that are in there?
SteamWorld Dig 2.
Yeah.
Really liked it. Got, I think, at least 3/4 the way through it, maybe even closer to, 90%.
Right, and didn't run it in.
Yeah, not because I stopped liking it, just because I fell out of it.
Right.
Trying to think of what else is on there that
did you ever finish Mario Rabbids?
No, I never did. I never finished. And that one I'm kind of I should finish it. I want to finish it. I'm kind of dreading finishing it.
Right, remembering how to do it.
Yeah,
because it gets hard at the end too.
Yeah, and I remember that the reason why I stopped is because I kind of got stuck a little bit.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so I'm not loving the idea of going back to that. But yeah, just games like that where it's I didn't stop because I didn't like it, because those I don't think there's any point in playing games that you don't like.
No, pointless. Totally pointless.
And so those I'm not including, and things on classic consoles I'm not counting either.
Right.
But basically it's just my focus is Switch games that I have purchased that I enjoyed that I want to get back to and finish.
Sure.
So right now I think there's there are some I'm forgetting, but I would guess around 4 or 5. And I would put the single player of Splatoon 2 on there.
Sure.
I never played all the way through that.
I never did either. I never finished that, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's fun when you're doing it, but it's just hard to go back to do it.
Right, especially because you have to make 2 choices there. You have to be I'm going to play Splatoon instead of these other games, and then on top of that, you're I have to do the single player instead of the multiplayer. And the multiplayer has all these other fun modes that you can be playing that you like. Yeah, that's a good goal, if kind of a hard one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feeds into that, just that idea of why am I buying new stuff when there's more of this game that I still enjoy.
Yeah.
That I'm not playing.
Well,
for
and
reason.
it's so tempting to always be buying the new thing. I mean,
Mhm.
I have put off buying Mighty Gunbolt Burst for this reason, because it was I want to get this, but I know it's just going to sit there.
Right.
And right now, even though I have this backlog of games, it feels like I have a lull. I haven't really picked up anything for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So it's oh, this would be a perfect time to do it. And but yeah, that's how a backlog grows.
Yeah. Grows and grows and grows. All right, that is a good first goal. My first goal is regarding fighting games.
Oh.
It is my resolution this year to get good, GIT GUD, and follow the fighting game scene. So this is regarding Street Fighter V, which I know is not available on a Nintendo platform, but that's like the kind of king of fighting games at the moment.
And maybe it will be.
And maybe it will be, who knows? But it also, obviously has a lot to do with the Street Fighter arcade collection that's coming out in March. And all of the Smash entries, if Pocket Rumble ever comes out. And so all of this stuff, and I want to follow like the fighting game scene. I want to go to EVO this year, which is the big fighting game tournament that this year it's in it's always in Las Vegas, but it's in August. I don't want to go and like compete, but I want to go and like just be part of it and watch the competition. I had a really, really good time at the Capcom Cup at PSX this year. And so I want to like get in there. I want to be watching videos like of combos and people playing and really understand a handful of fighting games this year and like get not competitively good, but get good at these games.
Yeah, and by get good, like, do you mean I can go online and play and not get my butt kicked every single time?
Yes, that's what I mean. And also like just to be enough in like the language of these games to understand what I'm watching in high level play. Because really that's what a lot of this is about. Is I had such a positive spectator experience at PSX that like I want to be able to recreate that without having a 3-man pre-show team and then 2 announcers calling the match. I want to be able to understand and like participate in what's exciting about these games as I'm watching them happen. And with the Street Fighter arcade collection coming out, it seems like a good time to just like double down on Street Fighter. And in particular, Street Fighter V, the arcade edition is out in January, which has a bunch of new characters / old characters that are finally in that game. And yeah, it seems like the kind of slow start that Street Fighter V had is they're finally like catching up to it, and the game is like full featured and robust enough that like I want to jump back into it. I want to be in it and a part of it.
So the answer to this can be no.
Yeah.
But do you include ARMS in this?
No, I'm not going to include ARMS in this. ARMS is a little bit softer of a fighting game, and is I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine because you have played ARMS and it seems like you enjoy it, but it hasn't really grabbed either of us by the lapels and shaken us and
and I mean
grabbed our attention.
We're always wearing outfits with lapels.
I mean, we are gentlemen, if nothing else.
Of course, and I tip my cap to you,
and I to thee. But yeah.
ARMS is also not. ARMS is at Japan Evo, which is happening in like a week or two. But it is not at the Evo in Vegas. So maybe it's just more of a Japanese thing, but stateside it's not as popular in the competitive scene.
Well, and I also feel like just like we were talking about with the backlog, not that you dislike ARMS, but there's no reason to like put your focus into something that you don't want to put your focus into.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean we're talking about basically 5 different versions of Street Fighter that I can play online come March. And then if Pocket Rumble ever comes out,
which who knows at this point?
Who knows? It may never. But yeah, and then if there's like a surprise Smash announcement or something, I do want to get back into Smash for Wii U. Because that is also going to be at Evo, and I like that game a lot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to. I want to like work out a controller solution for when the Street Fighter arcade collection comes to Switch. Because I like playing with a fight stick, but I don't necessarily need it. But yeah, I just need to find something that will work with that machine.
And I'm sure we'll probably in the future go into this in a little more detail, but. Just because we're talking about fighting games, I'm interested. All these different versions of a Street Fighter, from Alpha to like Super Street Fighter 2 and all that kind of stuff. Does each one you have to like learn its intricacies?
Yeah.
Or like all these different versions of Street Fighter 2, is being competitive in Super Street Fighter 2 different than being competitive in Street Fighter 2 or Turbo or one of the different.
I mean, it is. The characters are not all totally balanced differently, but there are a lot of balance tweaks. And sometimes it's as big as characters have different basic move sets. Sometimes they have different special move sets, and sometimes it's just like that kick doesn't stun for as long as it did in a previous version or whatever, or this one deals a little more damage, or this person has too much health in this version. So yeah, I mean, I will work on the online versions, the ones that you can take online for the arcade collection. Alpha 3, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and probably Super Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fight or Turbo, whatever it is, the last one of those, and kind of just let the other 9 versions of those games go mostly unplayed. Like I want to play them to play online and not to play like the arcade mode or versus with someone next to me.
Well, this segues nicely into my next resolution,
Yeah.
which is one of the things I want to do this year is try new games. Try games that I, have in the past either when I was younger, tried and didn't love, and so I've just kind of forgotten about them.
Yeah.
Or games that I've just never really given a shot in general. So for me, this includes sports sims.
Yeah.
I haven't played like an NBA 2K or NBA Live which I don't even know if they even still make NBA Live. Like I haven't played one of those.
There's no way to know.
I haven't played one of those since '97.
Yeah.
And we had a Belarusian exchange student who gave me his like pirated fake copy. Right? Like that.
Right.
Like that's the last one I played on PC. Fighting games are another great example. Like I've never really played them. Like I've never tried to learn them.
Yeah.
And so that maybe like the Street Fighter collection would be a good entry point for me. But it's just like stuff like that, like racing games, just things that I generally when they come out have zero interest in and just let them just totally ignore them.
Yeah,
I kind of want to give them another shot.
Why do you think it is that you don't like those types of games haven't really been in your wheelhouse in the past? You made thought on that?
So like for fighting games,
Yeah.
I never had the patience to learn them. I
Right.
never it never really interested me to learn the combos, learn blocking, learn all that kind of stuff that you need to be good or respectable
Right.
or to have fun, honestly.
Yeah, in
like
a lot of cases.
in a lot of games like that. And just like racing games and sports games, I don't know, like cars have just never super appealed to me.
Mhm.
Sports have never been a huge important part of my life. And I think a lot of it's just like simulation stuff where it's trying to be like true to life. Like arcade racers I have a lot more fun with than like a
or
Gran
like a
Turismo
kart
type
racer.
thing.
Yeah.
But that's also based on games that came out 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
You
a lot
gave up
has
on those
changed.
simulation games
yeah,
a long time
and so
ago. Yeah.
I think even if I don't end up liking everything, I think it's worth giving another shot at this point.
Do you have so like for fighting games, good candidate is that the Street Fighter Arcade Collection. Do you have something in mind for like a sports sim or like a more realistic racer?
I'm hoping that I don't think I'm going to pick up I mean, I guess we'll just see what comes to Switch.
Yeah.
Right? Like I am not there was that rumor that we talked about a couple of weeks ago about a like Burnout Paradise remaster coming.
Yeah.
And that was a game that I had previously played and enjoyed. But, if a
Does that count then? Mark, does that? Mark?
But if something like
$1
that
million on the line.
we'll see what comes to Switch. I would like if NBA 2K19 ended up coming, I guess I could reach back and grab 18. It's not that old at this point. It's on sale.
Right.
But we'll just kind of see how it plays out.
That's an exciting goal. Anything else? Any other kinds of games fall in that category? Do you think of?
I mean, I feel like there's a ton.
Yeah.
Really, when it like comes down to it, and like a simulation game like The Sims.
Sure.
If a version of that came onto the Switch, I've never really played The Sims before.
Sims doesn't even seem like it's that far outside of like a type of game that you would like, right? Like you're still, not that you like it, but you're still playing Animal Crossing, Pocket Camp.
Yeah, it's got its hooks in me.
Yeah, so.
Right, so no, it wouldn't be crazy to me if I ended up really liking The Sims. It's, I never really had a gaming PC.
Yeah.
And So
Yeah,
it's
that makes
just
it
a
tough.
franchise that I like never really experienced. But things like that, tactical shooters, I mean, there's just like there are so many games out there that I have never really experienced, and sometimes immediately I'm like, I'm not gonna like that. And I'm at the point in my life where I can try.
I love that your goal here is like, I'm going to broaden my horizons, and mine's like, I'm going to drill down into Street Fighter. I'm going to narrow my horizons. All right, that'll bring us to my second resolution, which is to actually use creation tools in games. I don't necessarily know what form that'll take this year. But like Chicken Wiggle, a game that I liked well enough, had a set of creation tools, and you could make your own levels and upload them for people to play. I didn't touch the creation tools at all, but like I really liked making levels in Super Mario Maker, and I like to be part of like a creative community like that. And that's something that I feel like would be good for this show too, and like to share levels with other people who listen to us, and that they can share levels with me, or with us, I guess. I don't know why it was just me on that one. But yeah, to really take advantage of and use the like level editors and track editors and all that kind of stuff. And again, I don't really know what games are going to support that this year, but this is another thing that actually comes a little bit from my experience at PSX. I spent some time hanging out at the Dreams booth, which is the new Media Molecule game. They're the people who did Little Big Planet, which is sort of Mario Maker before Mario Maker. And that game seems like it gives users the ability to create any and everything. And like if you want to just be someone who like makes music for other people to use in their games, you can do that. If you want to just like build characters for people to use in their games, you can do that. If you want to pull that all together to make some new experience, you can do that. And it was exciting to watch it in action. And so that's the sort of experience that I want to get with these kind of creation tools.
Yeah, I feel like currently there are some opportunities for stuff like that. For me also, it's something that I totally avoid.
Yeah.
There's like that RPG Maker Fez,
Mhm.
and if Mario Maker, who knows at this point whether it's like an actual rumor or just people wishing it, but coming to the Switch in the future.
Yeah.
Or another Nintendo franchise maker or something like that. There is something to be said for Little Big Planet, and from what I've seen of Dreams, which are both PlayStation exclusives, the breadth of like content that you can create in those games.
Yeah.
And I think they challenge. They allow you to do more than anything like Mario Maker has allowed you to do, and it'd be interesting to see what a like Nintendo version of just this open sandbox would look like.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of the dream. Obviously not something that we're going to see this year or anything like that. But yeah, I think about like when I'm playing Blossom Tales, the Sleeping King, and it's fun, but like it's a turn my mind off game, and like I'm not going to say I can feel myself getting dumber as I play it, but like I can tell that I'm not like actively using the like creative part of my brain and like engaging with something that like there are very few things that just sort of make time disappear, right? And like just make my brain light up, like working on a Mario Maker level that I'm like invested in, or designing a track or a kart or a racer in Mod Nation Racer, or and anything like that. Like really getting in with the creation tools is just it's satisfying in a way that I don't know that playing a game otherwise really is.
Kind of related to my previous resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So, in addition to trying new game types, I also want to try to push myself to play games in new ways. So,
Interesting.
I'm kind of, it's really easy in an RPG or something to just do what you're familiar with. When you're creating a character, I usually play as a mage,
Right.
right? You know, like I'll usually play as an elf if it's available, like that kind of stuff. When I was creating a new character in Skyrim, I kind of purposefully chose to do something I did not do the last time I played Skyrim.
Yeah, that's
You know, like a
that's so
totally
interesting.
different character type, and because I guess in general, and we kind of talked about this in our short episode about Skyrim, it's like when I'm playing games, I want to give myself the freedom to fail or to experience it in my own way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because like a lot of times when I'm playing games or when I get a new game, my brain is to be like, I want to play this the most optimal way. I
Yeah.
want to try to do and see everything, and I want to try to do and see everything in one go through, and I want to do it in the most like effective, way. I want to make my character the most incredible character ever. I want to use a build guide. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly.
Right. You want to max things out. You want to, yeah.
Yeah, that I'm doing it like the right way. And I this year, I guess maybe part of this is my goal is just to like try to release myself from that mindset of being like, there's a right way to experience this RPG. And if I don't build my character perfectly,
Right.
then
you've messed it up
then
somehow.
I've messed it up somehow, and I'm not going to enjoy the game. And I think that's not a bad way to play it. I just think that it's a very for me, like a very limiting way.
Yeah.
And it does remove my enjoyment when I do quote unquote like mess something up, kill somebody that
You weren't supposed to.
I wasn't supposed to, or something like that.
It's like it's kind of like playing any game with a morality system where, it's like tracking your good and evil qualities, and like very early in the game you essentially decide like, this is going to be my good playthrough or my evil playthrough, and then you just make whatever decision is going to be good or evil, depending on which one you chose in the beginning. You make one decision once instead of you're turning a thing that could be a multi-pronged decision-making tree into a binary, and the game is like intended, even though it will like reward you with something special for being totally good or totally bad. It's designed to be a grayer experience, right? And the idea that like you're gonna miss out on some things because you're playing it how you want to instead of like how you think the game wants you to play. I think that's an admirable and like cool goal. Like I like the idea of playing a game how you want to instead of how it wants you to play it.
Yeah, or even not how it wants you to play it, but how like the limitation I put on myself. Because like a game like Skyrim,
Sure.
as just an example, they're happy for you to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
yeah. And I guess like however you or it wants you to play it assumes that that's how you wanted to engage it in the first
Right.
place.
That's
But like I think that is a common gaming habit, right? Where you're like, oh, it's I'm gonna hit all these side missions before moving on to the next one. I'm gonna follow all the recommended paths instead of,
or it's like,
forging
oh, I'm
your
playing
own.
a shooter. Okay, I know that I generally do like machine guns
Right.
instead of, so I'm just gonna leave the snipe. I'm not even gonna explore what it's like to be a sniper because that's something I haven't really done in the past.
Yeah.
Just like stuff like that. And again, it's not always going to be successful. In Splatoon 2, I hate the sniper,
chargers.
like I absolutely hate them. It's not fun. And as we've talked about all in this episode, I'm not going to do something that's not fun. There's
Right.
no like eating your vegetables in video games.
That's right.
There's no reward for playing with a charger if you don't like it in Splatoon 2.
Right. You don't get a medal that says had the least amount of fun.
But I just feel like there are probably things that if I do them, I will enjoy it.
Mhm.
And maybe out of 10, it'll only be 1. But that's at least something new that I haven't that I didn't realize about gaming.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, this next one will require a lot of self-control and self-reflection. Amiibo. I have to figure out my relationship to Amiibo.
Oh, this is an interesting one.
So as we discussed last week, I have several weeks ago, recently, I purchased 24 Amiibo last year in 2017. I didn't get them all. I have very few complete sets of Amiibo. Like I'm missing some of the Animal Crossing ones. I don't have all the Smash, whatever. I bought all these things. I've scanned less than half of them into my Switch, and most of them are living in a box in my bedroom. So I have to decide what these things are to me. Are they important enough that I spend as much time and money hunting them down as I do, only to put them in a box? Or do I need to say, like, hey, it's okay, there's going to be, another set of Yoshi amiibo with the new Yoshi game, and I don't get those? Or do I decide, like, yes, they are important. Yes, they should be displayed. Yes, I want to scan them all in. What is it? What is my relationship to amiibo? Because right now, I don't know. I am in the middle. I like them. I like having some of them displayed, but I recognize that, like, it's a little childish to have Nintendo toys just, like, prominently displayed everywhere in my house. A couple is fine, but, like, I'm not going to have 100 of these things just, like, lying all over the place. Yeah, I just need to figure out what my relationship is to amiibo.
When you say you haven't scanned them, do you mean like in? Because there's no functionality where you just like scan it and something happens, right? It's all like
It's got to
game.
be game specific. Yeah. There, I haven't scanned the Majora's Mask amiibo into Breath of the Wild. I don't know what it gets me. Maybe something interesting, maybe not. I don't even think I've scanned in the champions, and they have the they can spawn treasure chests that have unique helmets in them, and those are cool looking helmets. Like, yeah, so like they have functionality that I'm not even using.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting goal, and not that not that this is what this episode is for, but one that I think just has like interesting application to a lot of aspects of our life.
Absolutely.
Because you're not saying that amiibo are bad.
No.
Or that you don't want amiibo, or that you like people shouldn't own amiibo. It's just like figuring out where, and I think anybody who plays games, especially once you get older and you have a job and you have people in your life, you have other responsibilities. It's something that you have to do with a lot of things, is just be like, okay, here's this thing that I enjoy.
Right.
And how does it, like, where does it fit into my life? How much do I value it? And if it is a lot, that's great. But, like, if it's actually not that much.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really my hang up. Like, when I first started collecting amiibo, it was very exciting, and it was during the very first like run of Smash amiibo, and like they were hard to come by, so there was like a fun, exciting like collector's aspect to it. And then, in the last like year or so, it's kind of just been like well, if you spend the money, you'll get it, and you probably won't have to go out of your way to like find everything at retail price without like paying extra for it. And it's just like, well, yeah, like how much of this activity that you're already like sinking a ton of money into, like you and I both spent a lot of money on Nintendo last year. And it's just like, well, how much of that is amiibo and how much of that do I not need to be spending, basically, is the crux of this whole thing.
Right. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's like I said, applications outside of just like amiibo, like Nintendo video games in general.
Yeah. I mean, because you and I both download, we see like an indie game that we're interested in. We're like, yes, I will buy that. I purchased Ukulele, and I don't think I'm going to get back to it. That was $40.
Yeah. Not to rag on a totally okay game, but like Snake Pass.
Yeah, there we go. We're coming for you, Snake Pass.
we are ragging on you.
Yeah, we did a whole episode kind of praising you, and now we've turned.
Which you can go back and listen to.
Yep, you can go back. It's we're pretty positive on it.
It's a fine game. So
number 4.
My next resolution is I kind of want to get into the world of fan translations a little bit.
Oh, this is interesting.
Because I've never even attempted to import a game or anything like that. But there are some like Japanese only, especially retro games or more like retro games like Mother 3 that I'm super interested in experiencing, like games from series that I really like that I will have just never had the opportunity to play because they never got localized here. But there are people out there who have put in a lot of effort to do fan translations and made them readily available and fairly easy to, like implement. And it's something that I would be interested in checking out and seeing if I can do an experience.
That's a cool one. If for no other reason than it has the like little bit of you need to be part of like a community and like find the right translation for something, or like people will have different opinions on how it feels. Very much like the fighting game one to me, where like you can't do it on your own. You need to be like part of a group that is like finding these things or hosting these things or even like doing the translating. That's cool. Do you other than Mother 3, which I feel like is a really solid example, do you have other?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I don't even really know what's out there. Like from reading, I don't even, like oneup.com back in the day, or listening to other podcasts,
Yeah.
or being on like Twitter, you hear it like comes up every now and then, but I don't really have like a definitive list. I don't, maybe Seiken Densetsu 3
Oh, sure.
would be an interesting one to do.
That is the sequel to Secret of Mana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's something that could be put on to like the SNES Classic. We could play with like 2 players, like stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But it seems like, there are so many games from the 20, 30, 40 years of video game history that have never made it over here that would be really interesting to check out.
Yeah, it's so weird that so many of those games haven't been like translated and released by the companies that made them in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. I love the like DIY aspect of that, and like people banding together to like, because those things are there's so much text to translate, and anyone doing like a good translation or good like localization is gonna have to interpret a lot. So there's some like real like subtle artistry to a lot of that I think would be cool to encounter that we wouldn't be otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely.
To say nothing of experiencing the games themselves, right? Like,
right, yeah. I mean, that's I feel like such a rare thing. Although we kind of had that experience, I feel like, with Breath of the Wild, but in my mind, it's like going to a theme park you've never been to before.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, or going to like a Disneyland like a Disneyland Paris that you've never been to before. We were like, I know Disneyland, and so this is familiar but new at the same time.
Yeah.
And I feel like experiencing a new game in a franchise you love that you never were able to play when you were a kid would be really exciting.
Are there fan translations of games that were localized by the company that put them out, like that offer like alternate like language?
I think so. I think like there are like Final Fantasies and stuff that have had new like retranslations. Like if a game was localized in the SNES era when localization was a little more hit and miss, they weren't as like polished as they are today most of the time. I do think there are retranslations of things like that.
Yeah. That would be really interesting. I would love to see a retranslation of Tiny Metal. Having a real tough time with it at present. All right, that leads me to my fourth resolution, which just have one word written here: Earthbound. When I originally played through Earthbound back when it was on the Super Nintendo, I wasn't playing. My friend Ryan was playing. And I didn't like my friend Ryan, and he didn't like me. So there are huge chunks of the game that I haven't seen, that I haven't played. I've got it on the SNES Classic Edition. I have it on my 3DS, and I've started it on both, and have never, muscled my way through the beginning of it, because it's got that Super Nintendo RPG quality of being like kind of tough to get into in the beginning. And anytime we're talking about Ness or any character Did you hear beeping and then it's... Oh, it was the thing behind me that was beeping and stopped. I'm sorry. There's a little diffuser behind me that was making the room smell like oranges, and it is no longer doing it. Freaked me out for a second. No, but I feel like where Earthbound is concerned, I know that it's funny. I know the designs are there. I know that it's quirky and weird. But for the most part, I am parroting other people's opinions of the game. And I feel bad about that I want to have a real perspective on this game that is such a big part of like Nintendo's legacy, and it like is such a mysterious kind of game too, and that like that's the only one that came to the West. I guess we got Mother 1 a couple of years ago as well. But you know, you're chasing fan translations to get to Mother 3. Yeah, it seems like too important of a game for me to have like not a blind spot necessarily, but not like a recent like genuine experience of it.
Well, that brings us to our final resolution, and this is a joint resolution.
Mm-hmm. This is one we're going to either achieve or fail at together. And it is to finish playing through the original Final Fantasy on the NES.
That's right. So we had started it.
Yes.
Some months ago.
Yes.
And then played it again more recently.
Yeah.
But still a few months ago.
That's amazing that we went back to it. We didn't just play it once and then throw it aside.
And I don't even think we have scratched the surface of this game. And we've put what? 30 hours into it?
At least 20. At least 20. At least 20. Yeah, I don't think we put in 15-hour play sessions each time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, I mean, the original Final Fantasy, not a game that I finished as a kid.
Same.
I
didn't even own it as a kid.
I'm not even sure I know anyone who's claimed to finish it or has like talked to me about the end game of Final Fantasy.
Definitely not the original NES Final Fantasy. There's been remakes and like a version on the GBA and a version on the PS1 that I think are more widely played.
Yeah, that are more accessible. And so that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about like an easy or fun version of this game. We are talking the original Final Fantasy, complete with its glitches that cause, the blind spell to always miss or whatever.
Just purchasing potions one at a time.
That's
because
right.
You can't buy it.
There's no other way. And so this is one though that flies a little bit in the face of your I want to play games differently. Because I think we are still going to pull up like a walkthrough, right, to make sure that we are buying all the right, because the game is so obtuse otherwise.
Right, and we have no guide or anything to...
Right.
Yeah.
And we would have, when I was a kid, I would have played it with a guide in my hand. Like
the Nintendo Power one?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Final Fantasy is complex enough that like playing it without a guide is a little bit like playing D&D without like a player manual, that you just be like, I don't know, I guess I give my guy this sword and then the DM's like, you can't use that sword. So yeah, it's
look, this is our version of running a marathon.
That's right. Maybe a half.
It's going to be hard.
Yep.
It's going to be arduous.
One of us might poop our pants.
We're not going to like every moment of it.
No.
But once we finish, we're really hoping we'll feel a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be a hollow, empty feeling if I don't feel immensely fulfilled at the end of this. All right. So those are our 2018 New Year's resolutions. If you have different resolutions, and why wouldn't you? You should send those over to us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Or you can always, find us on Twitter. We are at NinCart Society on Twitter, and the Facebook page is Nintendo Cartridge Society. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts and all that good stuff. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, we write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right here and now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?